Have you heard Vor in a while?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Vor.
My life was doing pretty well until you reminded me of Vor.
Why was Vor so like famous for like a
Disgusting?
month and then gone?
Probably because it was disgusting. Welcome to
Brutal.
the MMA podcast.
How's everyone doing this morning?
I'm doing
It's
wonderful.
not the morning. Okay,
the morning.
great. I like how we're starting.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through UFC London. We're also gonna go through mostly the main card. The prelims weren't too exciting. Not a lot of finishes. It was really surprising actually. A lot of weird finishes, a lot of weird judge calls. A little bit of a weird event, but it was very entertaining, especially the main card. One of the best main cards I've seen in a while.
Main card was pretty good.
How's the personal life been going, Charles? How's the recovery from the surgery?
Good. I have fully recovered at this point, so
Fully
we've been
recovered?
going to the gym now.
Yeah,
So I'm just
Getting fucking
yeah.
holy shit.
Now we just gotta basically get back to where I was before, both in weight and strength, and then as I get back to there, I can continue my progress. But
Yeah, absolutely, and he's doing
Yeah.
a great job. He's sticking with it,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
trying his best. Just needs to eat more food. That's
I
always
have
my
been
biggest
eating
critique
more.
of you. You don't eat enough food.
I have been eating more because I've got money now, so I can buy my
that'll
own
do
food.
it. That'll
Yeah,
do it.
that
But
will
I
do
mean,
it.
you could also just do rice and chicken all the time.
Yeah.
If you hate living.
Yeah.
If you hate breathing.
If I just wanted to kill myself,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Caitlin's raising her head behind the camera
Yeah,
because all she likes to
exactly.
eat fucking rice, chicken, or round with chicken.
I don't know how you do it. I don't
I'd lose my
understand
mind.
it. Like even one meal
I
of
have to
rice and
cheat meal at
chicken.
least once a week or I'll fucking lose it. I'll
Yeah.
fucking lose it.
That's
But I
insane.
work hard enough to do that, I guess, technically. So whatever. I have some bloated ass days though. I'll tell you what, Korean barbecue really puts a hold
Oh
on
my
me.
God.
Holy shit.
This motherfucker is crazy at Korean barbecue. He'll just keep eating and keep eating and keep
I have
eating.
a problem, okay?
And I don't mean he'll just keep eating. I mean he'll eat like 14 plates of meat and
By
keep going.
myself.
That's not an exaggeration either.
And then the waitress starts to get fed up and they leave their shift. That happened last time. I don't know. Were you here last time I went to Korean barbecue?
I don't think so.
The chick we had literally like left her shift. Like she went on lunch. So we just didn't have a waiter after like 15 plates. I was just like still hungry. I was like, where'd she go? So I got up and I think I asked for another waiter, or we waited for another waiter.
Okay.
Did we wait for another waiter? Oh, we pressed the fucking button. We had to get a different
That's
waiter.
funny.
We're gonna go over main card, London. Started off with a really bad judges call between
Davy Grant and Daniel Marcos.
I thought his name was Daniel Marcos, but I'm like, that sounds too white. He's Peruvian. But I guess it's Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos only debatably had one round one, maybe. And it's because he gave more damage. And before that, I gave every round to Davy Grant except for maybe half of round two. So I
Yeah.
don't know how you score it that way. Maybe because Davy Grant came out looking worse for wear. Daniel Marcos didn't look like he had a scratch on his face, and Davy Grant looked fucked up.
Yeah, he was bleeding everywhere, right?
Yeah, he was bleeding really fucking
mean,
bad, but that
From
doesn't
looking at the
portray what happened in the
strikes,
fight.
Yeah, the significant strike difference was crazy.
Every single round, Davy Grant had the advantage on strikes, and it was usually by a landslide.
Yeah.
Daniel Marcos was super inaccurate, didn't throw a lot, didn't land a lot, very sloppy. The only thing he landed was a jab a few times. Not the most entertaining fight anyways, but just generally, I don't know how he won that fight. Judges gave it to him anyways, so
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
kind
kind
of
of
have to slide past that. Right after
Right.
that, we had a really good showing from Lerone Murphy. He's still
yeah.
undefeated, hometown favorite. Came out there, delivered. Just really good technical striking. Really poured it on in the third against Kulabau. Kulabau's not a fucking walk-off fighter. I mean, he has really talented striking. He's strong. He's quick, but Lerone Murphy's just better in every aspect, just by a small margin.
Yeah, he deserved that win. He definitely did.
Yeah.
That was an actual good call, I would say.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great fight.
So.
Won every round, 30-27. And then after that, I
Oh,
believe we had
Paul Craig.
I love Paul
That's
Craig.
pretty good.
Paul Craig's jiu-jitsu transitions. Let me transition
Oh my
into that.
god.
Fucking amazing jiu-jitsu transitions. He was really tearing it up on the ground. First round, you give it to Paul Craig, I think. He did really well on the feet, landed good strikes, really good jab. I was really surprised.
Yeah,
Paul
he was
Craig's
doing really well.
striking has improved a lot, and his jiu-jitsu has always been world-class, but he was a really big underdog, 2-1 underdog on the Vegas odds. I think it was plus 190, and he showed up, and elbowed the shit out of Muniz for a full like 45, 50 seconds and got him out of there.
Yep.
Real great win for the Scottish MMA fighter.
No, I'll admit, yeah. I mean, the first round, I think.
It was his UFC middleweight debut, and he beat a 14th ranked guy.
Yeah, and I mean, Muniz, he is not something to scoff about. I mean, he's another world-class jiu-jitsu artist. So watching them, they were basically very tactful at the beginning of the first round. They didn't want to go to the ground really at all. It wasn't until the end of the first round that they finally did.
Yeah.
And then, the second round, that was
Paul
when
Craig
you
kind of
saw...
pulled guard in that end of that first round, but in
Yeah,
the
he
second
did.
round, Paul Craig got two really good takedowns. He ended up getting reversed on one of them, but then he had that really good transition where Muniz had this like gable grip around his shoulder and his head, and he had his neck pulled down, and he used the pressure from that to flip his whole body upwards because he was on his knees this direction facing him, and he flipped his whole body this way upwards and then land on top. And from there, the ground and pound started. He got full mount, started smashing ground and pound, and got him out of there real quick. So really awesome showing from Paul Craig. I think middleweight might be his division.
That beautiful spin.
He mentioned how the weight cut was really brutal. So
you said
that's my biggest worry.
A lot more than usual.
He usually weighs 205 for light heavyweight.
That's crazy.
I think he usually weighs around like 220 when he was doing that. But now I think he's on a different diet. Hopefully he can more naturally lose the weight and not have to just sit in the sauna for a year. He barely made 186, so we'll see how he deals with that in the future. I don't think I've ever seen him miss weight, but I could be wrong on that. He always looks very emaciated on the scale, so maybe it's just how his face ends up looking because he just already has a low body fat percentage, but hopefully he can more reliably cut weight to middleweight in the future.
Yeah, no, that should be interesting. It was a very entertaining fight.
Yeah.
Very entertaining fighter. So
between Andre Fili, Nathaniel Wood fighting each other on, I believe, was fight of the night, and Paul Craig with Andre Muniz with the amazing transitions and a really good stand-up game in the first round. I can't believe neither of those fights were not fight of the night.
I'd agree,
they gave it to Danny Roberts, and you didn't even watch that fight, and I didn't want you to watch that fight because there's no point. It was pretty lackluster. Danny Roberts, as he does, he has another one of my favorite nicknames. There's like two of my favorite nicknames in this UFC card. Andre Touchy Fili and Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Yeah, they have pretty funny nicknames. They're clever. They work out well. But it was really ridiculous to me that they gave it to Danny Roberts versus the guy who called out Paddy Pimblett because they didn't really work for it. Danny Roberts gassed out after the halfway through the first round, especially in the second round. He was wobbling around, couldn't even stand right. And there was parts where they started just throwing bombs at each other, especially at the end of the first. But it wasn't super technical. It wasn't high pace. It wasn't super fun. It was just like in the middle. I thought it was like maybe the fourth or fifth most entertaining fight on the card, and a lot of people were in agreement. Like I was looking on Instagram, etc. Nathaniel Wood and Andre Fili definitely deserved fight of the night, and if not, Paul Craig and Andre Muniz.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Wood and Andre Fili, great fight. Between a flowy, loose fighter with really good natural power in Andre Touchy Fili, but Nathaniel Wood really has that really fast left hook. That lead left hook of his is so money.
He landed it over
6, 7 times.
Yeah.
He threw it maybe like 20 times, but when it landed, it was so clean. He dropped Fili with it. Oh my God. There's a part in the third round that cemented the round for him where he's here and he catches him with the hook to the body, and in the same motion, bing, bing.
Right into
and it sent Fili's head back. And you know when a fighter taunts after getting hit really hard, you know it fucking hurt. So he gets hit in the face and goes, it sticks his tongue out. And you're like, oh, that hurt you. That
it
really
was so fluid. It was such a clean double strike there. And yeah, I mean, Nathaniel Wood really just definitely deserved the win there in every way, shape, and form.
Absolutely. Yeah. I give that first round, that third round to Nathaniel Wood. Andre Fili did a really good job on the stand-up too. I think he wasn't as well-versed in the grappling. I think there was a part where he got a really good transition where he pushed him off from his back. But after that, Nathaniel Wood got up pretty quick. And there was a part where Nathaniel Wood knocked down Fili, and he caught him with a leg kick coming up. The leg kicks were really landing for Nathaniel Wood that whole fight. Worked out really well for him. And I was really happy about that fight. It was fun to watch. There was, I think, 5 knockdowns overall. It was just really entertaining stuff to watch. And I'm glad Fili's still a staple in featherweight, and I'm glad Nathaniel Wood stays undefeated in featherweight as well.
Absolutely.
And after that fight, what did we have going?
We have the Tom Aspinall fight versus Marcin Tybura.
We weren't going to mention Molly McCann, but I just want to roast her for a second. Molly McCann got fed a 10-8-2 UFC debut fighter that's not even really a good striker at all. Molly McCann got butchered on the floor and then armbarred just like Erin Blanchfield destroyed her. So I don't know. I think they're pushing Molly McCann because she's friends with Patty Pimblett, and Patty Pimblett's a big name. But it's pretty it's pretty ridiculous to keep putting her in like co-main and main event spots when she can't even get a win right now, especially against a ranked opponent she wasn't ranked. She wasn't ranked and just got armbarred by her. I mean, if Molly McCann can't win her next fight, I'd prefer if the UFC cut her because she has spectacular knockouts sometimes, but she's not really high level anymore, especially in the grappling. She's been exposed so many times. So, we'll move on to there for the guy that's going to dethrone John Jones if he actually decides to stick around and not run.
I hope so.
Tom Aspinall, I mean, comes back from a meniscus tear and absolutely butchers Marcin Tybura, which he should have, regardless, because Marcin Tybura is a good fighter, but he's not amazing, right? He's just a ranked staple of the division. And Tom Aspinall walked in there, was faster than a light heavyweight, with the power of a heavyweight in the grappling of an absolute savage. He didn't even have to use the grappling. He has better grappling than John Jones from my point of view, and he didn't even have to use it in that fight. He outstruck him, landed the right hand down the middle of the pipe, right through the guard, and then finished him on the floor in a minute and 13 seconds. Tom Aspinall is a savage, and he's here to stay, and I don't see anyone beating him. I want to see him against Sergey Pavlovich. I almost said Spivak and Pavlovich together. There's two Sergeys, and they're ranked really high.
Oh, okay.
Sergey Spivak is fighting pretty soon here, I believe, against somebody, I think Srogan in Paris. But neither of those guys are fighting for the belt next. It would be Tom Aspinall or it would be Sergey Pavlovich. They both have the shortest UFC fight times right now with just a little bit over 2 minutes. These guys don't stay long in the octagon if they fight. They're just either tearing through their opponent or they get teared up really fast.
Good.
Because
entertaining to see.
Yeah, Alistair Overeem absolutely butchered Pavlovich in his debut. One of the worst knockouts I've seen in a while. It was the old Overeem, the horse meat. Have you ever seen Alistair Overeem fight?
I don't think so.
He was just roided the fuck up and like an absolute monster. Mm-hmm. And he has really good ground game, and he exposed Pavlovich on the ground. So I think in a fight between Aspinall and Pavlovich, Aspinall would steamroll him. But also Pavlovich has the best power I've ever seen. I think he's had 5 straight fights with a knockout in the first round.
Wow. So, that's a good record.
Yeah, I think it is a record. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I would love to see that fight. After some technical difficulties, as we usually do have here at the Brutal MMA podcast.
Yep.
It's Charles' fault. Anyways, we're going to get into UFC 291, which me and Caitlin, the producer, are going to be catching in person. We're really excited to see it in Utah, Salt Lake City. We got the title shot with the BMF belt for Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. But we're going to start with the prelims.
Holland. Oh, the prelims.
We're going to start with the top of the prelims.
Alrighty.
Top of the prelims. Because we do want to go over Derek Lewis at least.
Oh, Derek Lewis is in the prelims this time. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, after 4 to 3 straight losses, it might make a little bit of sense. I love Derek Lewis, the Black Beast himself. I'm really excited to see him in person. But he's had a little bit of a slump recently, especially when he fights in Houston. Derek Lewis is cursed in Houston. Every time he fights in his hometown, he gets absolutely demolished no matter who he faces. And I want to cry every time I watch it because I love Derek Lewis. He's one of the funnest UFC fighters. He's funny.
My
he's
balls
talented,
was hot. Derek Lewis.
He's the best best anti-wrestler ever. He has this phrase, right? He gets taken down. He has this huge 265-pound man on top of him, fully on top of him. You know what he does? Just gets up.
Yep.
He just gets up.
Jiu-jitsu doesn't work. Just stand up.
Jiu-jitsu doesn't work. No, wrestling and jiu-jitsu, they don't work. Just get up.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because he fucking does. He just pushes his hips up and just like stands up. And it looks like an old man getting up off the floor after taking a tumble.
He's like getting punched and shit while he's like trying to get up and he's just like, come on.
Bro looks like Joe Biden after slipping on the stairs. Like he just gets up. It's
impressive. I won't lie.
It's super impressive. And I think the UFC is trying to give him a bone here because De Lima's fast and a decently talented heavyweight, but I don't see him not getting knocked out by Derek Lewis because Derek Lewis has extreme power. He has a lot of anti-jiu-jitsu, anti-wrestling, and Rodrigo has that. So I see Derek Lewis getting the knockout probably in the first or second round. We're gonna go over Gabriel Bonfim, Ismail Bonfim's brother. They've both been undefeated for the longest time, over 9 years. I think Gabriel Bonfim is the better Bonfim brother out of the two. Ismail Bonfim had a little bit of a stinker of a fight in his last fight against the God of War, who absolutely upset Ismail Bonfim. But Gabriel Bonfim, he's more elite than Ismail because his name's Gabriel. Anyways, we'll get to
no bias there or anything.
We'll get to the main card of UFC 291. Main card of UFC 291. Super excited for it. We would have had Paulo Costa and Ikram Aliskerov, but unfortunately got canceled. But two big matchups came from that on the pay-per-view card of UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi with Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. So it's okay. I'm not too mad, but I won't be able to see the meme god Paulo Costa in person, which pisses me off a little bit, and I really want to fucking die. But it's okay. It's okay.
And who else are we seeing again? Because you have those two fighters, and then there was another fight that was...
Ikram Aliskerov is going to be facing someone I forgot about.
Because I thought there was either a Strickland or a Adesanya fight coming up.
Not for a while. It's in the works. They're thinking about doing it for New Zealand, which might not either be till UFC 295 or 293, or it's a fight night. If it's Israel Adesanya fighting, it will be pay-per-view, so it'll be 295 or 293 if they make that fight that soon. So I guess we'll see with that. Either way,
soon, yeah.
Super exciting. Sean Strickland would be really fun to watch against Israel, not because he'd win, but because the banter would be so good.
God, the fucking press conference. I really hope it happens. I really do.
I think we all do. Next fight, or the first fight on the main card, because the Paulo Costa fight was canceled, is Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland. Fuck yes. Trailblazer, or Big Mouth was the version of Kevin Holland I like the most. Got a poster of him up on the wall. Kevin Holland, he always brings the fire. He has great adaptability, good jiu-jitsu, unless he's fighting Khamzat Chimaev. And a guy like Michael Chiesa, who's mostly focused on commentating, I don't see doing a lot to Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland gets the knockout maybe in the first or second round. I'm a huge diehard Kevin Holland fan, though, and I could see Michael Chiesa doing really good wrestling on him because Kevin Holland is shown to have bad wrestling in the past.
Either way, it'll be a cool fight. I haven't seen Kevin Holland too often. I think I've only seen him once.
Before you started following MMA, in 2020, he was the first ever UFC fighter to go 5-0 in a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he went 5-0 in a year, and it wasn't just in a year. He did it in a 7-month span. So it was absolutely ridiculous. Kevin Holland is an absolute fucking... He talks a lot of shit, but he always backs it up, and he always is able to recognize when he's wrong, which I really appreciate from Kevin Holland. But after that fight, we have Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green. Caitlin's delusional and thinking Tony Ferguson's going to win.
Yeah, Bobby Green is
I love you, Caitlin,
put him
but
in the dirt. I'm sorry.
Bobby Green is going to box the tar out of Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson got pieced up by Nate Diaz, who does not have good boxing, and he will show that when he gets fucked up by Jake Paul, sadly. I don't think Jake Paul's going to knock out Nate Diaz, but I think he's going to piece him up on the feet, sadly.
Unfortunate.
But yeah, I got Bobby Green by decision or TKO in the third.
I think Bobby Green's going to just knock him out. I'm sorry.
Bobby Green doesn't even have knockout power, but I don't... Tony Ferguson has gone down a really rough path in his life. He was 12-0 at some point, and I was a huge fan of him. I watched his fight with Anthony Pettis live, which is one of the best fights I've ever seen. And that was one of the biggest fights that got me into MMA. But I think Tony Ferguson's time is just over in the UFC. I think he needs to retire and focus on his family. He's been getting a lot of arrest charges and DUIs, and a lot of really messed up stuff happened. I think he needs to focus on his mental health and retire from the game, especially if he has 6 straight losses. If he loses this fight, even if he wins this fight, I don't think he should be fighting anymore. But it's always Tony time in our hearts.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always Tony time in our hearts.
Yeah, I the first time I ever did see Bobby Green fight, he was I actually I thought he was gonna lose. I don't know. what's it called? Underestimated him.
It's the hands down
And-
style everyone underestimates.
Yeah, and then I saw him fight, and once I saw him fight, I was like, okay, no, this guy knows what he's doing, and yeah, he's been doing pretty well every time I've seen him fight. And Tony Ferguson, complete fucking opposite. Yeah, that was just, yeah, he's going down, but
It's definitely a downhill spiral for Tony
Yeah.
Ferguson.
and instead of the Paulo fight, it looks like we have Michael Pereira versus Stephen Thompson.
Not instead of.
Well, I mean, I thought that
That fight was
they
already made.
replaced him.
No, that fight was already made.
Oh, was it the Jan Block?
There's no fights that were made in
I thought it was-
in replacement. Just one fight got boosted up to the main card.
Ah, okay, never mind.
So next fight in the main card is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Michel Pereira. Holy fuck. You've got two of the most exciting strikers in the UFC. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is widely regarded as the best striker in UFC history. The best striker by far. He has the most versatility. He has the best kicks. And he's karate style. He only practiced karate growing up. He was in a dojo of karate. And he just developed into an MMA mastermind. His grappling game isn't too good, but I wouldn't say Michel Pereira is either. But I think it's going to be a really entertaining fight. Whoever wins, I'm happy for, because Michel Pereira has been on the rise. He's 4-0 in his last 4. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, whenever he wins, he's a little bit older. He's 39, but he still kicks ass. And he showed that in the fight with Kevin Holland when he broke his arm and TKO'd him in the 4th round. So, I mean,
Should be
Stephen
interesting,
Wonderboy
yeah.
Thompson always brings the pressure, always brings the fun. He's the nicest guy in the UFC. The NMF belt, nicest motherfucker belt. He needs that shit. Make that shit, give
Yeah.
it to him. You should do it between Burns and him. That'd be fun. But yeah, after that, we have Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. Wow. The implications between this fight is actually so astronomical at this point, because Jamal Hill has, I believe, ruptured his Achilles and has vacated the UFC light heavyweight belt. So now that this has happened, this fight is basically the next guy that will fight Yuri Prochazka for the belt, because Yuri Prochazka is coming from a ruptured, destroyed shoulder and pec. He vacated the belt also before Jamal Hill did. Light heavyweight is fucking cursed. And this fight between Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira is going to be extremely exciting, because you've got two guys who are elite kickboxers, and Alex Pereira is moving up from middleweight to his natural weight class at light heavyweight, where he still weighs 230 pounds before he cuts weight.
Wow.
And Jan Blachowicz is known for his legendary Polish power. And he's going on 40 years now.
Yeah, I've seen him
Jan
fight, I
Blachowicz is
think,
old.
and
He's been fighting
he's
forever.
crazy.
And most recently, he had a little bit of a stinker of a fight between Magomed Ankalaev and him. But, I mean, either guy gets it done here. I've got Alex Pereira just because he's an absolute figure in the sport now. He's really made his name, and he's some of the best striking, the best left hook in the whole game. Speaking of Nathaniel Wood with a good left hook, Alex Pereira has the best left hook to ever breach the MMA scene. So,
And he's much younger, so I kind of feel like you might be right on that.
I think he's a lot more
Although-
fresh. I think he's got a lot less miles on the tank
Yeah.
in the way of experience. So if Jan takes it to the ground though, which he did to Israel Adesanya and beat Israel Adesanya in that way, when Israel Adesanya went to light heavyweight. But yeah, I see Alex getting it done on the feet, hopefully. And if he doesn't, Jan Blachowicz wrestles him to a loss.
Yeah.
So-
I agree with that.
From there, we've got the main event between Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier.
Let's go.
The BMF belt on the line. And it makes sense for Justin Gaethje, not for Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is not a bad motherfucker. He's a little bit of a fake in my opinion, but that's just my
Does he
hideous
just put on
opinion.
a show, basically trying to, drum up
Dustin Poirier
hype?
acts very nice to some people, and he's fakely nice and fakely mean, and just a overall very weird character in the UFC. He has a lot of moments where he ends up beating up his training partners, and they make him switch gyms and etc. But I just think Justin Gaethje has improved where Dustin Poirier has been refusing to fight prospects, unlike Justin Gaethje, who just fought Rafael Fiziev recently. So with the ring rust and the lack of willing to fight prospects, I think Dustin Poirier gets finished by Justin Gaethje, maybe in the 4th round. I think a war of attrition occurs, and they test each other's chins. I think Justin pounds out his chin in the 4th.
Yeah, I'd say Gaethje. Every
This is
time
their
I see
second
Gaethje-
fight together, by the way.
Yeah,
They fought each other once in an absolute fight of the year contender. So, I mean, I can't wait to see the fireworks again. And yeah,
I'm
UFC
excited to see the crowd
291.
go fucking wild, and I hope you guys record some of it if
We'll
possible.
definitely we'll have some
You know,
recordings of something
yeah.
going on from that event, and
'Cause-
we're just so excited to get out there. So
yeah, no, that'll be interesting, and I'll be watching from the TV.
look for us in the crowd.
but
Look for us.
Yeah,
in the
I'll
crowd.
look for you guys and see if I can find you sitting all the way in the nosebleeds.
Fuck you. Hey! I ain't made of money. I ain't made of money.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going, because I'm not made of money
Yeah,
yet.
these lumberjack hands don't really pay the bills like that, so
Yeah,
we're
fair.
good. But I'm excited to go regardless. I don't care if it's
Oh.
nosebleeds or not. It feels like you're in the arena when you're in the arena. It feels like you're in the cage.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think
Alrighty.
that wraps up today's podcast.
I'm very excited. So
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Caitlin has
hopefully
been having
no.
a conniption behind the camera because
my
yeah,
camera isn't very good sometimes, so I think it's just hot and humid.
it's a little bit hot
Shuts
and humid.
off
I'm
a
sweating my
lot, so-
balls off. So let's
My balls was hot.
My-
Alrighty.
my
well,
balls was hot. Derek, I take your pants off. My balls was hot.
I understand.
I understand. All right, guys.
All right.
Well, you have a great rest of your week. Have a
Yep.
good, happy Friday.
Have fun next week to you as well.
All right.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.